everybody, it's Dale Jensen here. So today we've got with me Anna Stevens, Laura Morgan, and Dallas Daga. We're doing a little video today on parenting, or I guess parenting while working at home. We're trying to work at home while you're parenting, maybe the most appropriate way to put it then too. So we're just gonna have a conversation about what has this been like for all of you, working remote and having kids at home, and just how it has been for you all, just maintaining your sanity in this current environment. So, Anna, if you want to kind of kick us off, just kind of give us an overview of what your home life is like right now.
Sure. So very different than it was, say, 4 weeks ago. But so I lead the healthcare industry for the firm, and it is audit busy season. So very busy on the work front for me. But then mixed into that is I have a lovely 5-year-old son who's in private school. So he's in kindergarten, and so they have lesson plans and everything that he has to do and get through every day. And then I also have a 10-month-old daughter at home as well. And my husband he's working, but he is not working at home. He actually has to go to work. So he is
wow.
gone. Yeah, he's gone
Wow.
all day long. And then when he comes home, he is on child duty very quickly. But I will say, funny story, you were talking about keeping our sanity. So Sunday morning, my husband was like, "Can I just tell you what you did last night?" And I was like, "Sure." And he goes, "I came to bed at midnight and you sat straight up in the bed and was like, 'I am trying to keep my sanity.'" And he was like, "I'm not questioning that, but I'm glad to know that's what you're thinking about in your sleep." So there you go. That's how fresh it is for me. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
So, hey, Dallas, you want to kind of share your story?
Yeah, sure. So again, Dallas Duggar, Senior Manager in Audit in our Dallas office. I have two kids, one that's a 5-year-old, he's also in kindergarten, and another who is one and a half, typically goes to daycare full time. My wife works as well, typically works a few days a week from home, but of course on those days, traditionally, my kids are still going to school, so she's having uninterrupted work time. Right now, of course, we're all home. My oldest son's elementary school's closed. So he's doing lessons online every day, and my youngest daycare is closed, so he's everywhere around the house, and we're all just trying to figure this out together. So very busy time of the year for me work-wise. March and April are probably my busiest months, definitely are. My wife, her busyness comes and goes, but we're still every day having to figure it out. So,
Laura, what's your story?
Yeah, so I'm a senior marketing manager in our Fort Worth office, and very similar story. Sounds like all of our kiddos are around the same age. I have a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, both in daycare, and I work part-time, so they're both in school 3 days a week, now both at home all the time. My husband is also working from home full-time right now, and he lives on conference calls all day long every day, so most of the parenting fun has fallen on me. And yeah, same story, just trying to figure out the balance with all the kids at home and spouse at home and 2 jobs still going.
Okay. Yeah. So I've got a few questions here, and I'll just kind of throw out the questions and just let you just kind of discuss on whoever wants to jump in. So how do you follow a schedule when nothing is routine at the moment? What creative ways have you found to ensure you get dedicated quality of work time, both at work and at home with the family?
I mean, I would say for me, it's starting a new schedule, right? So the routine is different, but very quickly, the first week was very tough for us because we're all very much routine oriented. My son is just like me, knows exactly what he's supposed to do. And his routine was thrown out the window. My 10-month-old, she just does whatever she wants to do. And then my husband, he still goes to work. So his routine's pretty much the same. So it was very quickly, I decided to set a routine for my son and I that's different than what it was before, but still we get up and we get dressed and, for school. He even still dresses in his uniforms as if he's going to school. Yeah. So it's very, and it's actually helped for us. We didn't do that the first week. We just let him, do whatever he wanted to, but school kind of lagged behind. He got frustrated. I got frustrated. And so setting a new routine has really helped us, figure out the day-to-day. So.
Mm-hmm.
For us, the first week was completely wheels off. The kids were just running amok. We're both trying to maintain our normal schedules. And I think for us, it was realizing the schedule for us in our household could not be normal for both of us right now. And so I adjusted my working hours, and I just talked with the marketing team, and everyone was okay with that. So what I do is I work for early hours. So I may get online at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and I work straight until 9 a.m. And then I'll just take a break and go parent from 9 to noon. And then once the kids start settling for lunch and afternoon, I get online all afternoon. And so once we got in that routine, I think it really helped us figure it out. When I was trying to do parenting and working and everyone was just running free, I think I felt like a failure at both because nothing had my full attention. And so when I separated the two, it was parent time versus work time. That I think really helped us. And it's kind of working most days now.
Yeah, we do our best to maintain a routine too. To be honest, with 2 kids and we both work already, it's already tough. Absent everything that's gone on to have a routine that we can depend on every day, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and even more so. Every night before the next day, we're planning out activities that we have to get done and that we want to get done. Obviously for work, we have things that we have to get done, but for our kids, we don't want them to miss out on still finding ways to be productive and learn and things that they would do at school. So my oldest son has lessons to do, does in the morning for a couple of hours for school, and then we try and supplement that with other activities that we pull online throughout the day. My youngest is the one that our goal really is just to not have him be upset and have him be occupied, not crying throughout the day. So he'll take midday naps, which is usually when we feel like we get a little bit of a break. In terms of ensuring that we're having quality time, one struggle that we have is it just seems like lately we have a ton of meetings. I'm taking a ton of phone calls every day. And my wife is the same. So just trying to find ways of strategizing, scheduling our meetings to where we're not overlapping as much as possible. I'll have a meeting and then she'll have one, but that way the other person can watch the kids if someone else has a meeting. When we do have overlapping meetings, it's just trying to find ways to queue up our sons with activities and things to do until we're done.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's very helpful. No. So this is a very overwhelming time for everyone, and especially parents. How are you personally staying grounded? What encouragement do you have for other parents during these times?
So the thing I like to remember is no matter how put together someone looks at one point in time, I promise you, we all had that meltdown moment and all had that moment of failure. So I feel like people do a lot of comparing on social media, and they look at these, I'll speak for myself. You look at all these families that are posting their pictures of them playing with their kids, and all of it looks all happy and nice, and you're like, well, this is great, but I'm over here like scrambling to get through the day and get my job done, and the kids think that we're all happy. But it's just a snapshot in time, right? I could take those pictures too and place up there, and other people might think the same thing, but they don't know the struggles that are going on. So it's not like you're in this alone. Everybody's struggling. We're all trying to figure it out. Nobody's perfect. But I think that's something good to remind ourselves of, is that no matter who you think is put together and's got it all going, they're struggling too, and they're taking it day by day.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of parents can relate to this, but I think going to the office for a lot of us becomes our me time. It's our time alone from our kids. And we've all lost that in a sense. And so I think it's just remembering we're all in this together and having empathy for others right now and just being compassionate and finding a new way to have that me time. We all need it. So making sure we find a little bit of time for ourselves every day or every couple days in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's just being intentional about finding ways to make sure I'm disconnecting. Because when you're in the same place all day, every day, it can be tough for there to be a mental separation of work and non-work time. So, and I'm the type of person, even when I'm in the office, I have to take a lunch or some kind of break to just get away from what I'm doing and get my mind on straight and get back into it after a little bit of time. So for me, usually that means around lunchtime, going outside, if the weather is nice, or taking a walk, just doing something that helps get me away from my laptop to where I can get my head straight. And also, I'm the same boat too. It helps just to acknowledge that there's only so much you can control, and pretty much everybody in the world is, finding a way to adapt to the new normal that's going on right now. And it can be a struggle. You're going to have days where at work it's going to be tougher than other days, or days with the family that, with meltdowns, or it can be challenging at times. But just knowing that we're all in similar situations helps. And I agree, it helps to talk to other people in the firm that have the same struggles. And
yeah, I think that's a really good perspective from all of you. And like, when you talk about disruption and routine, all your kids, they're, especially the babies, probably don't realize it as much as the 5-year-olds. Their routine has been disrupted. And how do you talk to them about what's going on? Are you able to? I know it's probably difficult. My kids are 12 and 15, so it's a little different. But with your 4 or 5-year-olds, are you able to talk about what's going on, and how do you help them deal with this current environment?
Mm-hmm. So mine, like I said, he's very routine oriented. So this was huge for him. He was okay the first couple days, and then it was like something's going on. And so my husband and I talked about it, and sooner rather than later decided that we really just kind of needed to tell him a version of what was going on, and say, look, this is going to be the new norm for a little bit, and reiterating to him that everything was going to be okay, but explaining to him that things are a little different right now. We just kind of talked about it from the aspect of, there are people that are sick, and just like when people are sick, we don't take you to school, we don't send sister to the daycare, if we stay home if you're sick. And so that's kind of where we are, is that there's several people that are sick right now, so we're all just kind of staying home to keep everybody well, but not like trying to brush it on the rug and dismiss the fact that this is different for them, because he's certainly at an age that he's able to understand that things are not normal. But how do we explain to him that everything is going to be okay, but it's just the new normal for a little bit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think with the older kiddos too, our daughter's been acting out a little bit more, especially in the last week. And my husband was losing his patience with her, and I was losing my patience, just getting frustrated. And started realizing, she's struggling because she has lost that routine, like you said. And so we're just really trying to dig deep and not react to things, and understand that she's lashing out, or she's upset for a reason that she doesn't fully understand. And it's because her world has been turned upside down in the last month. And so we're trying to be really just compassionate toward her, and have more patience, when really our reaction is probably to have less patience, right?
It's a good thing to get now, because trust me, it doesn't change.
I believe it.
yeah, I think it's certainly age dependent in terms of how much detail you go into what's going on with your kids. My 5-year-old somewhat understands what's going on, but not fully. I think for him, we can't go to the arcade or the movies, and that's a big impact. But if they're old enough, they're gonna remember this time. So I think it's important to have them understand, why are we at home, and why can't they go to school? Why can't they see their friends or family members? And then, for us, finding any way that we can use technology to have them still be connected, through Zoom or Facebook Kids, something we just discovered, which we found to be helpful.
Okay, that's great. So what are some of the positive observations, takeaways you've taken away from this experience?
So I think for me, it was a positive, and it was kind of, took me aback a little bit. So my son told me the other day, he was like, "Mom, why are you always on the computer?" And I was like, I'm not. But then I was like, but in his world, I am, right? Because he doesn't see me on the computer when I'm at work. That's a compartmentalized piece of his life that's very different than now he does see me. And so it made me realize how much, more cognizant of how much I really am spending on work versus, my family. And so I think a positive that can come out of this is, at least self-realizing, how much of your life are you spending on your work versus your family? And are you going to be one of those people that looks back on your life and say, man, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids, or I wish I would have done things different? I think this is certainly, for me, given me the ability to stop and say, let me assess my life, and is this really where I want my priorities to be? And if it is, great. If it's not, let me make some adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my answer is a little more simple than Anna's, but I totally agree with what you said. But my husband and I were just talking last week, and how it was kind of nice that some of the things that seemed to waste your time previously are all gone. So commuting to work and packing and unpacking backpacks every day and packing kids' lunches. And we were like, it's just nice that you can walk to your office, and then when you're done working, you just get to go have family time. We walk straight outside and go on a family walk. Now, there's a sense of us that kind of misses all those Monday things too, right? And we wish our kids would go back to school, but it has been kind of nice to not feel like you're wasting, 6 hours of your week driving to and from work or shuffling kids here and there. So that's been kind of nice to slow down for us, I think.
I'm 100% on board with that commute part. My goodness.
The podcast time.
Yeah, I do miss that podcast time.
I mean, for me, work-wise, I just feel blessed to have a job that, for the most part, we can do what we need to do remotely, and it hasn't been overly impactful. Obviously, it's client-dependent. Some clients are able to provide us what we need to be able to service them, and some aren't as much. But most of the work, most of what we do is through our laptop. We're able to do it anywhere. So I think we're lucky in that we're able to keep moving forward and keep serving our clients in light of everything going on.
Yeah, that's great. So one last question. Do you believe this will change the workplace for the better? Or do you see it will it change the workplace just as we return back to normal?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's certainly made, there's a saying that says, you're not growing if you're not a little bit uncomfortable. And sometimes I think people are, a little scared to be uncomfortable until you're forced to be uncomfortable. And this is really like force everyone to get outside of their comfort zone. Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to look at this and they're going to, whether it's, the ability to realize how much you can do remote so that you can get some of that balance back in your life. I mean, or the technology that's out there that everybody was scared to use, that because they're like, I don't know if I know how to do this. We all had to figure it out, and we do it, and our kids are doing Zoom. It's crazy. And so, I definitely think there's going to be good stuff that comes out of this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Weaver has always offered a pretty flexible work environment, in my opinion. But I think this has literally broken down our walls. Dale, we were talking about recently. I mean, we are literally seeing into people's lives, in their homes, their families. We've talked to each other as parents, but we don't always see each other as parents. And I think we're seeing so many of our coworkers in that environment that it's just breaking down those walls. And I think it's showing people that flexibility that parents need, and that even people that aren't parents, they need different types of flexibility. But it's showing that flexibility really isn't optional. It's part of our lives. And I kind of hope that it carries back into when the world goes back to normal. I hope some of these things get carried back in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in some ways I've been able to interact with my teams more than I would on a regular basis, just through video calls and being able to touch of a button to see somebody at any time. And same thing with our clients too. We've had a number of clients that have used video calls or other mediums to connect with us. I think that's going to only continue more so when we get back to normal.
No, I agree. I think there's going to be a level of connectivity that's going to be driven off of this that is going to be deeper from a relationship perspective than there was before. I can see a lot of that. We get to, like Laura and I were talking about last week, is we're seeing inside of each other's homes and interacting with experiences that we would have never wanted to do in the past. So any last words for other working parents out there? Just words of advice, encouragement that you want to kind of leave them with too.
Just keep trucking. I mean, we're going to make it one day at a time. I had somebody text me today and say, I hope I make it. I'm like, you'll make it one day at a time. We'll make it. And I really do hope that, all of us, kids, ourselves, or our coworkers can look back on this and say that, you don't remember the tears or the meltdowns or whatever. You remember the extra time, like Dallas said, that you get to spend with your kids. I mean, golly, when I'm not in a car, I get to see my kid as soon as I wake up. And I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Hang in there, everyone.
Yeah, and if you're struggling, like I said, I think for me it helps just to talk to other people in similar situations. And I know across the firm there are a lot of parents and people who've had more disruption than others. So talk with your teams, talk with other people, and I find that to help.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed this, and you said some fantastic perspectives. So thank you so much for your time.